All right, let's roll on. We're going to be sharing the words of Jesus when he said, and I'll read right from the scripture in Matthew chapter 15, verse 14. He said, let them alone. Who is he speaking to? He says, they be blind leaders of the blind. And if the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into the ditch. You know, that gives us pause. Because here well, can I say it of myself? I see a lot of people that I believe are spiritually blind. And of course, some would see me as spiritually blind as well. So, okay. However, Jesus said, let them alone. I wonder why he would say, let spiritually blind people alone. I mean, wow. There must be some type of pretext, context for the communication of that statement. Let them alone. Well, what he was really saying, I believe, is that if the blind is leading the blind, you will know where to find both of them. And when you discover their destination in the ditch, the pit, in the mully grubs, in lowly bar, somewhere where you really don't want to be. And then when you discover them there, they will be in a much better position, if you please, to be helped. So when people are going places and they believe they're going in the right direction, and you see that, no, that is not the correct path. It's not the right way. Well, if it's a blind person trying to find his or her way, but they're not being led by anyone, they're trying to do it on their own, you might want to help. But Jesus said if you find two, one leading and one following, leave them alone. It will result in nothing but controversy. Because blind folk love blind folks. And you must make sure that they're both in the same position, the leader and the follower, both in lowly bar, in the pit, in the ditch, in a situation where there's no way out but up. So, it kind of gives me the thought here that there are people who are not just blind, but there are people who are proud, arrogant, and a whole lot of other things, a lot of other adjectives, but they're headed somewhere. Now, if they're headed there all by themselves, they may be able to be helped, even if they have big faces and hard to save. Paul said it in Galatians that he went to those who are of reputation, that's in Galatians 2, privately, lest his going should have been in vain. So you can help individuals that you see. Hey, you think I'm proud, arrogant, beside myself, don't know what I'm talking about, and I won't listen in public? Hey, pull my coattail, take me to the side, give me a download if you please. Let's cross-pollinate if you don't mind. Because look, I want to be right, and don't mind being wrong if I can be corrected. Because after all, friends, when that day finally comes, and it's coming just as sure as you can hear the sound of my voice, Jesus Christ is coming back to the planet, my friends. And all of the pontificators, and all of the so-called revelators, and all those that think they have it going on is talking a lot of smack. Christ is coming back to deal with not only their words, but their acts. That's what Jews said. And look, oh man, I can get into this blind game, but I just want to just put that out there for you. There are blind preachers leading blind congregations. Leave them alone. they're going to be soon in a fix that they cannot get out, except with the help of those who have the eyes of their understanding enlightened to know what is the hope of the call of God upon our lives as believers, and what the riches of his inheritance is in the saints, and what the exceeding greatness of his power is toward us who believe. That same power that he wrought in his Son when he raised him from the dead, that's right, raised him from the dead, and set him at his own right hand, far above every principality and power. You know, there are some people who don't believe. They say they do, but really don't. I think it was recently that I was sharing in a setting whereby people don't believe in the literal swallowing up of Jonah in the whale. And they say, oh, that's allegorical, that is typology, that is not literal. Well, if you read the script, it said the Lord prepared a fish. Now, if you don't think God can prepare a fish, and you say you believe he created the heavens and the earth, but he can't prepare one fish for one man? Jesus said himself, there is but one sign that will be given to a evil and adulterous generation, and that is the sign of Jonah. Friends, if you don't believe in the literal swallowing of the prophet Jonah that went into the big fish's belly for 3 days, 3 days, and then regurgitated upon the shore. If you don't believe that literally, you are not a Christian. You don't believe in the death, the burial, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. You can't believe it. It requires faith to believe both. Same amount of faith. So if you don't believe one, you don't believe the other. Kind of like what Peter said on the day of Pentecost when they were speaking in tongues, and everyone they were amazed. Whoa, we hear our own language. Peter said, this is that which was spoken by the prophet Joel. Now, the prophet Joel didn't speak anything concerning speaking in tongues. He was speaking of prophesying and having visions and having dreams. In that last day when the Lord would pour out his Spirit upon all flesh, they were not dreaming, and they were not, quote, prophesying, and they were not having visions. Well, if this speaking in tongues is that, prophesying, having visions and dreams, then this cannot be that without being this. So if this is that, that must be this, and this is that. You know, it goes back and forth. One is equivalent to the other. If you don't believe this, you don't believe that. If you don't believe in speaking in tongues, you don't believe in visions, dreams, and prophecy. If you don't believe in dreams, visions, and prophecy, you don't believe in speaking in tongues. Friends, you can't get away from it. It requires faith, even to have your eyes open, so that we will not be blind spiritually, leading the blind spiritually, and end up in the pit, in the ditch, in lowly bar, if you please. Well, said it as clear as I know how. And if you can help me, please. Oh, man, we need some help today. Until the next time, hey, God bless.